God says, listen closely now, not with fear, not with urgency, but with a quiet and open heart. This message did not arrive randomly, and it is not meant to disturb your peace. It came gently, the same way truth always does, softly knocking on the door of your awareness. Someone from heaven is trying to communicate with you, not through noise or pressure, but through calm reminders, subtle feelings, and moments of reflection that have been visiting you lately. This message is about a person connected to your life, someone whose presence has meaning, even if that meaning feels unclear right now. You may have noticed this person appearing in your thoughts unexpectedly, not in a dramatic way, but in quiet moments when your mind slows down. Perhaps their name crosses your heart when you are resting, or their memory shows up without effort. This is not coincidence. Heaven often speaks through repetition, through gentle nudges that invite understanding rather than force belief. This is not about predicting events or revealing secrets, but about helping you see a connection with more clarity and compassion. God says this message is not here to create confusion, but to bring balance to how you understand this relationship. Sometimes people come into our lives not to stay forever, but to awaken something within us. Patience, forgiveness, strength, or self-awareness. Heaven communicates when it wants you to grow wiser, not anxious. The person connected to this message may have played a role in shaping your emotional journey, even if that role was brief or complicated. Take a moment to breathe and notice how calm your spirit feels while listening. That calm is important. It means this message is aligned with peace, not fear. Heaven never rushes you into decisions, it gently invites you into understanding. Whatever you are meant to realize about this person will come naturally, without pressure. Truth does not need force, it settles quietly into the heart when the time is right. You may have questioned why certain interactions felt unfinished or why certain emotions never fully closed. God says this does not mean something is wrong. It simply means there is still awareness unfolding. Heaven often reminds us that not every connection is meant to be defined immediately. Some are meant to be understood slowly, with grace and maturity. This message is also a reminder that you are protected while you reflect. You are not being pushed toward action. You are being invited toward clarity. Whatever this person represents in your life, Heaven wants you to see it through wisdom, not attachment, and through understanding, not assumption. When clarity arrives, it will feel peaceful, not heavy. Allow this message to sit with you gently. You do not need to solve anything right now. You only need to remain open, grounded, and patient. What is meant to become clear will do so in the right moment, and when it does, it will bring relief, not confusion. Heaven communicates to guide, not to disturb, and this message is part of that gentle guidance unfolding for you. God says, now that you are listening with a settled heart, allow this message to go deeper than surface thoughts. Heaven does not rush understanding, because true clarity grows slowly, the way roots grow underground before a tree ever becomes visible. The person connected to this message is not appearing in your awareness to disturb you, but to help you recognize a pattern that has quietly shaped your emotional world. This is not about blame, regret, or loss. It is about awareness, and awareness always brings freedom. You may have wondered why this person came into your life at the time they did, or why their presence felt meaningful even when circumstances were unclear. God says some connections are placed in our lives not for permanence, but for alignment. They arrive to shift our perspective, soften our heart, or strengthen our boundaries. Heaven communicates now because you are ready to see this connection without emotional weight, without confusion, and without attachment clouding your understanding. This message is not saying that something must happen next. It is saying something has already happened within you. Growth has occurred quietly. Where once there may have been uncertainty, there is now maturity. Where once there may have been longing, there is now calm reflection. Heaven is drawing your attention to how far you have come, not to pull you backward, but to help you release what no longer needs to be carried. God says this person's role in your life may not be fully defined by what was spoken or done outwardly. Some connections serve a deeper purpose that words never fully explain. They awaken parts of us we did not know needed attention. They reveal emotional truths that help us understand ourselves more clearly. And once that purpose is fulfilled, heaven gently guides our awareness forward, without noise or force. You might notice that when you think about this person now, the emotion feels different than before. There is less intensity, less urgency, and more neutrality. This is a sign of completion, not loss. Completion does not always look like closure conversations or final moments. Sometimes it simply looks like peace replacing confusion. Heaven communicates when that shift has occurred, so you recognize it and honor it. God says you are not meant to analyze every detail of this connection anymore. Overthinking belongs to seasons of uncertainty, not to seasons of clarity. This message is reminding you that clarity is already present. The calm you feel while listening is confirmation. Heaven speaks through peace because peace carries truth without distortion. There is also a gentle reminder here: do not measure the value of a connection by its duration. Some of the most meaningful encounters are brief but transformative. They arrive, do their work within us, and then step back so we can continue growing independently. Heaven honors growth, not attachment. And you are being honored right now for how gracefully you have evolved. God says if there is anything left unresolved in your heart regarding this person, it will resolve naturally with time, not effort. You do not need to chase understanding. Understanding is already moving toward you. When it arrives fully, it will feel like acceptance, not realization. Like knowing, not questioning. This message is also reassurance that you are not missing anything. Life is not passing you by. You are exactly where you need to be emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Heaven would not communicate if you were not ready to receive with wisdom instead of emotion. This is a sign of inner strength, not vulnerability. As you continue listening, allow yourself to release the need to label this connection. It does not need a name, an outcome, or an explanation. It simply needs acknowledgement. And once acknowledged, it gently settles into the past as a completed chapter that helps shape the person you are now. God says peace is the final confirmation. If peace is present, heaven has already spoken clearly. Nothing more needs to be forced, questioned, or revisited. You are moving forward, not away from something, but toward greater clarity, balance, and self-trust. Let this message rest within you. You do not need to act on it. You only need to accept it. Acceptance is the language heaven understands best. God says, now that your heart has slowed down enough to truly listen, it is important to understand that heaven does not send messages to confuse you. Divine communication always comes to bring alignment, inner order, and gentle clarity. The reason this message continues to unfold is because your soul is processing something at a deeper level than the mind can immediately explain. This is not a sign of uncertainty. It is a sign of spiritual maturity. There are moments in life when a person's presence leaves an imprint that does not fade quickly, not because we are meant to hold on, but because that imprint teaches us something essential about ourselves. God says this person reflected something within you that needed recognition. It may have been your capacity to care deeply, your ability to trust, your need for emotional honesty, or your strength in letting go without resentment. Heaven brings this awareness now so you can see your own growth clearly. You may notice that when memories surface, they do so quietly now, without emotional turbulence. This is not numbness. This is healing. Healing does not erase memories. It changes how they live inside you. God says when a memory no longer controls your mood, your decisions, or your sense of self, it has completed its work. That completion is sacred, and heaven honors it. This message is also helping you release the idea that you must understand everything to move forward. Some truths are felt rather than explained. God does not require you to figure out the meaning of every connection. He only asks that you trust the process that shaped you through it. Trust does not demand answers. Trust rests in peace. There is also something important being restored within you during this season. God says you are learning to value emotional balance over emotional intensity. Earlier, intensity may have felt like connection, but now calm feels like truth. This shift did not happen accidentally. It happened because your soul is no longer seeking validation from others, but alignment within itself. Heaven wants you to recognize that the person connected to this message was never meant to complete you. They were meant to awaken you. Completion comes from God, not from human attachment. When you understand this, relationships no longer feel heavy or confusing. They become experiences that contribute to your growth rather than define your worth. God says if there was a time when you questioned whether you did enough, said enough, or gave enough, release that thought now. You acted according to the awareness you had at that moment. Growth does not mean regret, it means perspective. You are seeing clearly now because you are no longer inside the emotion. You are above it. This part of the message is also about compassion, for yourself and for the other person. Compassion does not mean reopening doors or revisiting the past. It simply means acknowledging that everyone involved was learning. God says learning seasons are not meant to be judged, they are meant to be understood and then released. As this understanding settles, you may feel a quiet confidence returning. Not excitement, not urgency, but steadiness. This steadiness is a sign that your inner foundation is strengthening. Heaven builds foundations slowly because strong foundations do not shake easily. What you are becoming now is someone who can experience connection without losing peace. God says do not rush to label this chapter as ended or unfinished. Let it be what it is. A completed lesson that continues to serve you through wisdom rather than emotion. When lessons turn into wisdom, they stop hurting and start guiding. You are also being prepared for healthier connections ahead. Not necessarily immediately, and not necessarily romantically, but energetically. God aligns people with similar emotional maturity when the time is right. This message is confirmation that your inner alignment is increasing, which naturally changes the quality of connections that come into your life. Heaven is asking you to trust this quiet season. Quiet seasons are not empty, they are stabilizing. They recalibrate the heart so future blessings are received with gratitude instead of fear. You are not being delayed. You are being prepared. Let this understanding settle gently. There is nothing you need to fix, chase, or resolve right now. Awareness itself is the resolution. Peace itself is the answer. God says, this is the moment where understanding gently becomes acceptance, and acceptance slowly turns into peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from answers being spoken aloud, but the deeper peace that arrives when the heart no longer resists what it already knows. Heaven does not rush this process, because true inner alignment cannot be forced. It settles naturally, like calm after a long storm that no longer needs thunder to prove it has passed. This message reaches its final unfolding now because your soul has matured enough to hold truth without emotional conflict. Earlier, clarity may have felt uncomfortable, even heavy, because you were still carrying attachment to outcomes. Now, God says, you are learning to release outcomes and trust direction instead. Direction does not tell you where everything ends, it tells you where your next steady step should be. The person connected to this message was part of your spiritual mirror. Not meant to stay forever, not meant to disappear without meaning, but meant to show you what you were capable of feeling, learning, and eventually letting go of with grace. Heaven says when a soul completes its purpose in your life, it leaves behind wisdom, not wounds. If you are feeling calmer now, that means the purpose was fulfilled. God wants you to understand something very important here. Closure does not always come through conversation or explanation. Sometimes closure comes quietly, when the heart finally stops asking questions it already knows the answer to. That quiet knowing is sacred. It is not loss. It is growth. There may have been moments when you wondered if you would ever feel the same depth of emotion again, or if part of you closed itself off permanently. God says nothing has closed. What has changed is discernment. You are no longer drawn to emotional intensity for its own sake. You are drawn to stability, honesty, and peace. This is not settling. This is evolution. Heaven also wants you to release any lingering sense of responsibility for how things unfolded. You were not meant to save, fix, or carry anyone else's journey. Every soul walks its own path with God. Your role was simply to walk beside them for a time, not to carry them beyond your season together. As this realization settles, you may notice your inner voice becoming kinder, clearer, and more patient. God says this is not coincidence. When external noise fades, internal wisdom becomes audible. You are learning to listen inwardly without fear, without urgency, without doubt. This message is also preparing you for the next chapter of your life, even if that chapter has not yet shown its shape. Preparation does not always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels quiet, reflective, even ordinary. But heaven often works in ordinary moments, building extraordinary stability beneath the surface. God says the future connections meant for you will feel different. Not dramatic, not confusing, not heavy. They will feel safe. They will respect your boundaries. They will not require you to abandon your peace to prove your loyalty. This shift is possible because you have learned to value your inner balance. If you ever questioned whether choosing peace meant choosing loneliness, heaven answers clearly now: peace does not isolate you, it aligns you. Aligned people attract aligned connections. You are not being set apart. You are being refined. This is also a season where gratitude plays an important role. Not gratitude forced through positivity, but quiet gratitude for lessons understood, strength gained, and clarity received. God says when gratitude replaces regret, the heart becomes free. The reason this message ends softly is because it is not meant to leave you alert or anxious. It is meant to leave you grounded. Grounded people move forward without fear because they trust the ground beneath their feet. Heaven has been steady beneath you all along. There is nothing more you need to search for in this message. Nothing hidden, nothing urgent, nothing missing. What you needed to receive has already reached you. Understanding is now resting where confusion once lived. God says, allow this chapter to close gently, without resistance. Trust that what lies ahead will meet you with the same calm you now carry within. When peace walks with you, the right doors recognize you naturally. Take a slow breath. Let this message settle. You are exactly where you need to be. If this divine message touched your heart, please like and share it so God's light can reach more souls. For daily powerful divine messages, subscribe now and comment, Amen, to receive blessings.